Is this thing on?
But we're recording now, so hold on a second. So we're going to start back over from the top, since we only got like 5 minutes into this thing. Holy cow.
That's okay. It's happened to me, too.
It also happened the last one we did with the head wrestling coach at Campbell, but we did the entire podcast.
No audio.
The whole podcast with no audio recorded. And I was like, dude, I'm sorry. Can we do that again? He's like, yeah, it's fine. Let me go use the bathroom. And I was like, oh, my God. So in our intro, when you see me and Addison on the couch and I like fall into him, that was what that was. I realized I hadn't hit record, and I just fell into Addison and was like, I'm so sorry. So we're back. So open this up again, big dog, and we'll get back into the whole Dusta Rhymes and all that.
So, take two. This is Addison coming to you from the shop community space for it.
For a second time.
Sorry, I'm laughing too hard. For it. Ooh, snorted. Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. For Is This Thing On, and we're here with Dusta Rhymes, another podcaster, entrepreneur. Wow, that was good.
That was good. I like that. I'm glad we did this again for the second time.
But so we're coming here. Dusta reached out after saw a couple of our podcasts or previews, shorts, teasers. Mm-hmm. My vocabulary is lacking after that last little bit. But so Dusta was just telling us how she got the name Dusta Rhymes, where that came from. Mm-hmm. So.
Run back through that. Yeah, run back through that really quick because I want people to know like that's doable. Like some people hear that, or they're going to hear what you're saying, like, oh, I couldn't figure out what a name, but the way that it came about and the way you're using it, I think it's phenomenal.
It came about as I was in a networking group, and we had to take an old rap, and we had to do a 30-second to that rap, and then we had to present it at the next meeting. So I did. He's white back in the day, and Vanilla Ice.
Okay.
So I took his rap and I made it into, for my cleaning company, and I did it then, and everyone just absolutely loved it. And I was like, cool, that's great. And then I was like trying to make myself different than everyone else. I wanted to be, recognizable. I wanted to be different. I wanted to stand out, but I also wanted to draw attention to my company and not just myself. Yeah. So I started doing little rhymes in every single 30-second that I did. And just kind of, because I realized something when I was watching one of my favorite shows that, if it ends in a rhyme, it's a win every time. So I took that and I ran with it and I started doing that. And someone actually tried to make fun of me and be like, oh, you think you're Busta Rhymes. And I was like, but they said that I was a Dusta Rhymes. And I was like, you know what? I'm taking it. I'm running with it. I changed my Facebook name to that. I put it on my business cards. I made sure that everyone knew who I was. And it's a great name. I've gotten a lot of compliments on it. Because I do clean, so I am Dusta.
Own it. Own it.
Dude, I was so geeked when he first reached out to me. He was like, hey, we got somebody who wants to do a podcast, Dusta Rhymes. And at first I was like, Dusta Rhymes? Like, what? That's crazy. Then I realized it said Dusta, but I was still excited because I was like, we got to figure out more about this person. Like, Dusta Rhymes? Like what is there about Dusta Rhymes? We got to figure that out. So I'm glad that you reached out to us. And I'm also glad that you have your own podcast, which is, let me see if I can get this right. Down Home Dirt?
It is.
Did I get it right?
Yes, Down Home Dirt with Dusta.
Mm-hmm. So what's up with that?
It's a podcast I started as a hobby that I wanted to basically bring attention to the many, many people that I've learned from and met in networking. And I wanted to hear their stories. And I wanted them to share their stories because I learned a long time ago that people buy why you do something, not what you do. So it was a way to kind of have them come on, tell their stories, and talk about entrepreneurship and connect. And then more recently, as we've gotten more episodes, it's become therapy, essentially. Because now I'm connecting with people going through the exact same things that I'm going through and getting to share their story and their business on a platform. And it's with everyone, not just where I live.
Yep.
So we also touched on the fact that you were in Clayton and you started cleaning houses when you were 18.
Yes, I'm not originally from Clayton. Actually, I'm originally from Sarasota, Florida, and I lived there for 27 years, and I've never seen snow, right? Never.
Right,
because it snowed one time in 1989. I was 3 years old. I remember it because my dad's like, come outside. And it was like, these little flakes. And so I got really excited, and I was like, cool. So I was 27, never seen snow, and I packed up everything I owned and moved to Asheville. No job, no home, nothing. I just box trucked it up, and I was like, I'm going to make it work. was there for a couple of years, saw so much snow, for being honest, and was like, this is not what I thought. So then I packed it up and moved to Clayton. Technically, I moved to Garner first, bought a house in Clayton, and then been there ever since. This was about 5 years ago, and I started my business, my cleaning company, literally a month before the shutdown in the pandemic. I got all my paperwork done. I was so excited. I was like, I'm going to do this. And then they were like, nobody can leave the house. And I was like, well, we're going to have to pivot, because initially I started out wanting to do commercial cleaning, but because everything was closed down, I had to kind of, think fast and on my feet. And I was
Why
like,
commercial? More profit?
the hours work better for me. I have lupus, so it hurts, to be honest. However, I am dealing with it the best that I can.
Yeah.
So I wanted to do commercial because I knew that it wasn't going to be nearly as much on my body.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I did that, and then I was like, well, everyone's in their home, right? What is one thing that everyone in their home currently needs without pulling their hair out? They need Alice from the Brady Bunch. So here come this idea to adapt.
Great minds over here, these two, with the whole ideas in COVID era. That was awesome. Go ahead.
You have to. I mean, that's a hard part of being an entrepreneur. You have to learn when to pivot and how to. And sometimes you just have to take the risk and hope it works out. I've been doing that a lot in my life. I realized that as I'm doing this podcast, people say, oh, you're so brave. And I'm like, I didn't really think there was a choice.
Yeah. I'm just scared. I'm just doing it.
I'm just doing things. And I'm figuring it out as I go. It's the same thing with the podcast. We started out with a couple of different platforms that we were recording on and learned these aren't working for us. So everything's a process. And you learn as you go. And I wanted to share that journey on my podcast. And also give myself a place to start from so people can see the progress. So my first one, it's probably not the best, and that's okay.
Yeah. Yep. That's what I'm saying. Like, we got to give this thing like a year. And at the end of the year, we can look back and be like, is this something we definitely want to keep doing, and how do we move forward? Because I feel like a lot of times we stop too soon, or like, you know what I mean, this is too hard, or the first 5 sound terrible, or you forget to record on the 6th episode.
And there's you can't count how many times I've wanted to start something like tearing out my master bathroom. You know, like because our house was built in 1910 and it was renovated in the 50s, so I had like 6 generations of construction work to work through, and I was just like, well, hey, I'm going to do it YouTube, I'm going to podcast, I'm going to do this, and then 3 episodes in, you got 6 likes, and you're like, I'll go work at the auto parts store.
Hey, there's been multiple times, like, and I just want to tell you this, and anybody who's listening, they can get this too, but like you specific, because you came in and you were wowed. You were like, wow, this is a nice setup, nice cameras, blah, blah. But like, I even still, like, well, I guess this is kind of a question for you. Do you, even though you're doing it now, like you're getting more comfortable, you feel like you could go and shoot a podcast, right? Like you feel like you could, if I came to you and said, hey, I want to start a podcast, you could tell me how to do that, right?
Yes.
But do you still feel like imposter syndrome? Do you still feel like I'm faking it because deep down I feel like I have no clue what I'm really doing?
Yes, and I feel like that's something that we all feel as entrepreneurs, and I do kind of highlight that on my podcast, and like I always want to bring that out in people. Like, do you feel like you are doing something you don't know what you're doing?
Yes.
And everyone's like, yes, I do, and I'm like, great, so do I. But you're here, you're doing it.
Figure out that next level, and then you're like lost again, but then somehow it's figured out, and people start looking at you as like the go-to person, and they're like, you move up a little bit, and you're like lost again for a little. I don't know. It's just, it's weird because I feel like Ashley, my wife, tells me all the time, like, stop battling with that. Like, you're good. Like, you are a professional, like, believe that. And it's not, and it's weird because it's not like I don't believe it, but sometimes, like, I just don't feel it. I feel lost. And then when I do stuff like don't hit record, the easiest part to do, it's like, it's almost like it can be a negative reminder of like, you're not good enough, because a professional wouldn't have done that the second time. Because even when I did it the first time it came, I was like, that'll never happen again now. Nope, you got here, I'm excited, new setup, clap, yeah, let's roll. It's not recording. So.
Or when you write out a proposal for somebody and you got 3 people who proofread the proposal you're sending out, and not a single one of them catch that you didn't put a price on it.
Broke down the whole thing, contract everything, and then
we were like, you're going to get this.
I'm like, Ashley, please look this over, because we have both looked at this and we think it's good. We're about to send it. She looked it over and we're like, all right, Ashley said it's good. We're good. The customer sends back, So I'm reading through this, but I can't find the price. Like, you probably want to know that, right?
It's like the most important part.
We leave it out. So don't hate us. It doesn't take away from our professionalism. I promise. Just look at the final products. All right. We could hide the fact that I didn't hit record, right? We could do that. But I don't want to do that. Like, I want to highlight it. If I mess up, like, let's highlight that because we can. When I'm with a client and you mess up, I got to hide that because you don't want to see that. Your clients don't want to see your video that's messed up. But that's why I like the podcast platform. And I tell my clients, like, just be authentic. If you choke or something, just like, hold on a second. Like, grab a drink. Stop. It's normal. Like,
shows the realism too. Like, and that's kind of what I'm doing too. And I have a tongue tie, so sometimes I stutter or I misspeak, which is my favorite thing. And then I have to be like, oh, sorry, I have a tongue tie. It's okay. We're all human. And I feel like highlighting all of the things that we mess up. And I'm quoting because it's not a mess up. It's just your body wasn't ready.
Yeah, I like that. See, I wasn't ready.
Your body wasn't ready. You were so excited about this. You were like,
I wasn't ready either, but I'm having some of this Lotus energy from All Good and Healthy.
Yes, perfect plug. And I didn't eat breakfast this morning, so I'm having one of the All Good and Healthy shakes.
Gonna have to get one when we're done.
Yep, see, so she's got to get one now.
They look delicious.
They are. They're actually, I mean, and you've probably been through the vitamin shop and had the protein shakes and it kind of tastes like you're eating a thing of chalk. Yeah. Yeah, this is not it. No. This is the good stuff. So, well, I guess I've listened to a couple of your podcasts. What is it about? I mean, why do you like it so much?
I love to be able to share information and I love to be a connector, and I realize that I do that naturally in just my everyday life, and it doesn't have to benefit me. I don't care about that. What I care about is making sure that I connect the right people with what they need and who they need. And so when I was going on this journey of being an entrepreneur, I started doing all of this and not really being able to relate to anyone unless it was in a one-to-one, which is, where you just meet and you go to lunch and you're like, hey, tell me about your business. Tell me about you. How can I help you? And joining some networking groups actually kind of opened me up to those one-to-ones to get that information. And then I realized people are struggling just like I am, right? And maybe they don't know what to do. And it could be something so simple as, for example, with my company, like, how do I market? How do I market without spending money? Because I don't have money. I need to make money, right? Networking. Whether it's in person or it's whatever. So we're doing that through our podcast. We're allowing other people to network with us and get to know them, get to know their stories, connect with their business, being able to bring them in. Hey, look at Clayton specifically where I'm at right now. Listen, these are the business owners that are there. I'm not tied down to just Clayton. However, that's where I'm starting, and that's where I'd like to highlight first.
Oh, for sure. And that you answered what question I was going to follow up with was, what's the goal for the podcast? Like, what's the vision for it and all that? But, like, you kind of hit it, and you can elaborate more if you want to. But kind of similar for us. Like, I wanted a podcast. He already kind of had one when he started the shop and had the shop going and stuff. But I was like, I want one, but I don't want to just be like myself. I want, like, to be like host, co-host, and us to have on guests. Or if I can't make it, you can host it. Or if you can't make it, I can host it, so we can keep it, flowing, and you don't feel alone. Because as an entrepreneur, as a solopreneur, you can feel alone. So I didn't want to feel alone. But I knew we both needed content. I knew that I was telling my businesses to do podcasts. I was producing podcasts for clients. But I didn't have my own. So it's kind of like, why are you telling me to do it if you're not doing it? Like, you're the professional. Why don't you have one? Why can I not see an example of what you're talking about? So I was like, Addison, we got to do a podcast. And we didn't know what we were going to call it. We just, we figured that out. We ran with it. But it's one of those things, like I tell people, like, everybody needs content. The easiest way to get content is a podcast, because you can literally just set up a microphone. You don't even have to have a camera, or you can just have a cell phone to record your audio on and put it out for free everywhere and get your message heard, your story heard. Because like you said, something I always preach to people and my clients is story sell and facts tell. So if I tell you that I'm a 2-time All-American champion in wrestling, you're like, oh, that's cool. Like, here's my trophies. Oh, that's cool. But if I tell you of, like, what I went through to get there, I had multiple back surgeries, and I was in the hospital, and I overcame this to get there, and then I won in overtime and all this stuff, you're like, wow, like, that resonates. I'll forget that you're a 2-time All-American, but I'm like, dude, that dude had, like, multiple back surgeries and all this stuff, and, like, you know what I mean? So people forget the facts, but they won't forget the story.
No, and it's about connecting with people, and that's a lot of the reason why I wanted to do this, is because I feel like there's so many entrepreneurs out there. They have an amazing story. it's great, and you can connect with them. But why are you going to use their business? Cool, I have a pressure cleaning company, for example. I don't, but I'm saying somebody who has one. Why am I
What's
choosing
fun
it?
about a pressure? You're not.
There's no
that doesn't
connection.
resonate. It doesn't connect.
No, but if you're saying like, oh, I'm veteran owned and I did this and I did that, now I have that connection. I want to support not only you, but your business too. And I feel like having this podcast platform allows them to come on, tell their stories, connect with their audience, and then also promote their business.
Well, I think your story can also validate your value and your price too. Like, like at a first glance, right? So like if I hear your story and your story is produced in a way that it's like it's engaging and it's like professionally done or whatever that looks like, right? But if I see that and I see that story, like I'm more likely to see your $1,000 prize point as like, yeah, well, he's a veteran, he's this, and I see his work. He always worked with these people already. Here's some examples. Yeah, $1,000, that's nothing, right? Whereas like if you don't have that and like I'm a pressure washer and it's $1,000, like that dude over there is $500. I'm gonna go with him. Y'all both got the same story. You're both a pressure washer.
That's something I ran into a lot too. With my business in particular, I have OCD. I've diagnosed, okay, and I know that I'm aware of it. And I was cleaning my own house like top to bottom all the time, right?
Just going after it,
being crazy. And I'm like, all right, nothing was ever dirty. Now today we're not going to talk about what it is today, but that's when I realized that I have this product that I could sell to people, but I had to make them aware of that it was going to be better than say I don't want to say competition because I don't feel like I have competition. I feel like it's a collaboration.
I like that.
But the other people in my field. And also I realized too that, my skill level, they're paying for that. They're paying for my skill. They're paying for what I bring to the table, my whole company. We have an NDA. I know that not a lot of cleaning companies do that. And the reason I do it is my mother used to be a paralegal. And she used to clean for some very famous people. And in order to keep their privacy and make people feel comfortable, I felt this was necessary. So I went to the attorney and I had it drawn up. And so when you buy my company, essentially you're getting the NDA, you're getting the OCD, you're getting a checklist, you're getting a value.
Yes.
And I wanted to like highlight all of that. So I'm with you 100%. I also wanted to share my story too because I, started this cleaning company and like I said in 2020 to leave a situation that wasn't the best for me and my family. And being an entrepreneur has actually opened so many doors for me. It's amazing. Like I wouldn't have this podcast without it.
Right.
So I always want to like give back, if that makes sense.
So are you an 86er too?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're all 86ers here.
Oh, nice.
Like how did you know that?
Well, no, I was just gauging back when you said, well, I was this and I moved to Florida and you said the year and I'm like, wait a second. Okay.
He's like Rain Man with Matt. No.
Oh, okay.
But and funny because we're all 86ers and we all decided to start a business 2020 during COVID, like, but, and I don't know. I just realized that fact. I thought it was pretty funny. I just, but wanted to touch I'm curious how you've changed your approaches and stuff. Not just the podcast, but have you changed anything? Have you molded your business to fit something? For example, like I opened this All Good and Healthy back in 2020, and it was great, and everybody's wanting to get healthy, and everybody was buying the shakes and the teas and stuff like that. Well, suddenly everybody was worried about politics and
the
not
hype
getting
wore off
healthy.
of COVID.
And, COVID kind of fell out. Nobody wanted to pay $8 for a daggone tea anymore. So I decided we're going to do a co-working space and we're going to do a podcast studio and stuff like that. And change to that. Well, it turns out suddenly now there's a bunch of other co-working spaces popping up around here.
I noticed that.
And and in all reality, this place isn't big enough for an effective co-working space. I mean, it's not 30,000 square feet or anything, but then all of a sudden Jake comes in with the podcast studio and he's like, hey, let's do this. And we're actually going to be changing our
He's trying so hard not to say it.
SOP.
Say it.
Say what?
No, go ahead. Keep going.
To make it a creator space and not co-working really, but we want people who are out there taking the pictures, making the content, doing the podcasts. We want to turn this into like a hub for that.
I love that idea, and that was actually one of the things that was drawn to like reach out to you. Is I was like, okay, one thing I've noticed about entrepreneurs, we're never doing one thing. So we're serial, right? It's just the way that it is.
Which is good and bad.
It can be. You're absolutely correct, because then you get burnout and you like stretch yourself too thin.
Or you do everything halfway because you can't do everything 100%.
Yeah.
And yeah, then you have to kind of like step back and go, well, that didn't really go out well. Do I have time for this? And is this important? Are people responding to it? So that was one thing that I loved about it. I was like, okay, you have 3 things in one. Like you have your co-working space, you have your podcast, and you have your shop. That's great. We
like to diversify. Here, we also handle your business mail, registered agent services.
Wow.
We'll also quote you on acoustics for your office. So, I mean, we'll follow the money. I mean, because I got to pay bills.
I'm not involved in that one because I'm like, yep, you probably put some curtains up maybe or call Addison for the whole sound dampening.
I have to come check out my studio because it is literally just bare and I cannot figure out how to get the acoustics to sound great in there.
You just have to have us on the podcast.
Yes, 100%.
Let's go.
So speaking of that, let me ask you a question. Who locally are you like dying to have on your podcast? Because we're going to tag them in this episode if you name them.
Oh, wow. That is a really amazing question.
And I didn't give you that beforehand.
No, and
so
you got me on the
think.
spot. Let me think about it. I will come up with that by the end of the episode.
Okay.
Because I have been meeting with a lot of...
Huh? Oh, see, Ashley over here sending me questions. Ask her what?
Ask her the next one.
What's the next one? Oh, who's one? Thank you. So, executive producer Ashley over here with the questions. Who's one famous person you would like to interview?
Dead or alive?
Yeah, dead or alive.
Ooh, dead or alive. So we'll go with alive first. One person that I would love to interview would be my favorite rapper, Connor Price, because I feel like he is much like us. He has done acting, which is how he got started. He's done rap music. He's recently just a country music. And I would just love to like sit down and talk to him about his process, because that is such a interesting like way to do things. He has gone from every genre.
Right.
So alive, definitely Connor Price. Dead. Ooh, that's a great one.
I gotta look him up. I'm not familiar.
I'm
I
not
probably have
familiar
heard
with
some
it
of his songs. I'm just not familiar with the name.
They played actually Trendsetter in one of the Super Bowl commercials, and I lost it. I was like, oh my God. Like, I didn't know anyone knew him. And like this comes out, and I was like,
Trendsetter.
Trendsetter, yeah.
On TikTok and all this. Oh my God. Yeah, I know. See, that's what I'm saying. I don't know the name, but I've definitely heard the jingle, I would say, scrolling through TikTok trying to find audio and stuff.
That's true. Someone who's dead that I'd want to interview.
Yeah.
That's a really good question, because there are so many that are out there that were really good at what they do. Walt Disney. You know why? Look what he built.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I understand he had a huge team, but think who come up with the concept?
Mm-hmm.
How did you run with that? I know he was like a pervert or something, but...
Right. Yeah. I mean, let's get past all the other stuff,
Yeah,
right? But let's look at like the accomplishments.
Right. Like
I get it. Some people are like, it's Disney. You can't talk about whatever, dude. I get it. Like, I would still probably go
Disney
to Disney
owns half of America. Like,
Exactly.
Yeah.
And
We
like
don't have Disney Plus anymore, but that's like more because we have everything else and like we don't need it. But like, yeah, I get it. But yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one, because I feel like it would, like you said, even like when you say Connor Price. So even like him, like you said, there's multiple things he pulls from. So it's not just like, oh, he's a famous rapper, or I could learn that. It's like all these different things. Same thing from like Walt Disney.
Wasn't Walt Disney like fired from the newspaper for not being like creative enough or something crazy like?
Yeah, I think he was. Yeah, he was. He was fired for not being creative enough and stuff. And then weird. Yeah, there's a lot of people like that. And you said, who was yours? Because I actually asked you that question.
Oh,
on
I
your
said
episode.
Robin
Williams. Yep. Which we just posted today, by the way. Actually, did we post it today? No, that's a look of we haven't posted it yet.
We're going to post that today.
That would be posted right after this. I don't know who I would do. I really don't, man. I don't know. Like, I want to go the famous route and think about like celebrity type famous. And I want to do that route just because of like what's it like to deal with adversity at the top level of being a celebrity?
Yes.
Like, how miserable is it to not just be like, I go to the grocery store 5 times in one day and I don't talk to anybody. Like, they couldn't tell you the last time they've probably been to the grocery store. You know what I mean? Like, that's the stuff I have questions. That's the weird questions I have. You know what I mean? Like, hey, if you're driving down the road, can you stop at a rest stop? Absolutely not. I mean, yeah, like, you have all the money to be as free as you want, but you have to buy your own island because you don't want people to be messing with you nonstop. So I would like to hear kind of like that. Kind of what that's like behind the scenes, the real uncut version, not the like this is being recorded.
Yeah.
I know how John Daly dealt with all that.
Right. Just like the cameras weren't there. And
Yep.
he did exactly like he wanted to. Yeah, I don't know. I would probably go on like I think mine would probably be some type of director, Hollywood, something, just because I think that really interests me. Even though I never think I'll go the film route, I will go more the documentary route. That's where my passion is. I want to go that route.
Ron Howard.
But like creating movies, that's like, I don't know.
Ron Howard.
Scripted and acting and
yeah,
30 takes for 1 5-second line. No, good with that. I just want to document what happened, and if we missed it, we missed it.
See, I like that. That's why I'm watching documentaries better.
Yeah, same.
I grew up watching World War II documentaries with my dad. He got a random bit of information I'm sure is totally not relevant, but yeah.
It's a nice way to connect with your audience, though.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, how many of y'all grew up watching World War II documentaries with Dad?
Mine was more like Gunsmoke.
Okay.
Just all the black and white John Wayne westerns he could find.
My dad was the same, and Green Acres.
Yep.
I was at all the old shows. He loved that's where I got the Alice from the Brady Bunch. He loved watching the Brady Bunch.
Gotcha.
Andy Griffith.
Yeah, yes. My mother loved that show.
So I have another good question for you. So something I got a business coach now for the first time, so I'm like fancy. No, really, I just figured I don't know what I'm doing in business. I can shoot video, but how do I grow it, So he's helping me along this thing. And one of the first things he had me and Ashley sit down and do was like a 5-year goal, whatever, which I hate. I know it's needed, but like I don't know why I hate doing them. Because like I underestimate. Like I'm like, we want to be like here in 5 years. And Ashley's like, we could be there in like 6 months. And I'm like, well, what? She's like, no, we need to put this. And I'm like, I don't even know how that's possible to maintain a month. You know what I mean? Like, what number do you want to have in the bank and all this different stuff? And like, so like, but I want to ask you, and we can stick strictly to the podcast, or you can talk about just your life in general. But what's your 5-year, like, at 5 years, where do you see yourself, either with the podcast, with the business, overall? Are you still in Clayton? Are you like, peace, I'm out back to the mountains?
That's a really good question. I actually, I'm going to be honest with the ADHD. I don't think that far ahead. I feel like that's just not feasible. But what I would love to see in the future, and I don't put a timeline on it because I feel like it gives me too much anxiety personally, for being honest.
Ashley's shaking her head, yeah.
Yeah, it does. Like
she
5
likes
years.
checklists, not timelines.
Same. And that's where my whole checklist came from when I started my business, because I wanted to be like, okay, this is what we're doing. I can check that off. But you're going to ask me like to just wing it. I cannot wing that kind of stuff. I need to know what I'm doing. But I would love to be able to just be, hopefully podcasting, and I'd like to sell my cleaning company and move on. That way, I want to do it for the experience, to be honest with you. It's not just like, oh, I'm building it up to sell it. No, I want it for the experience of going, I built this from the ground up with the $1,200 stimulus check we got. I was all in, and I was like, we're doing it.
Good for you.
Right? Like, I had a job at Walmart. I'll just stop ADHD sidetrack. I was working at Walmart 40 hours a week during the pandemic, and we got that stimulus check, and I was like, nope. And I took that money, and I quit that day, and I started the business.
Wild.
And I had zero support except for my children, my daughter specifically, and I was like, I'm going all in. We're doing it. And it took me 6 months to really kind of build clientele, but I felt like I had a really good product at the time, and I kind of did my research and looked at my competition. Not competition, but other people in my aura of work. And so I was like, all right, what do you not do that I could bring to the table? And so that's where the checklist was born, the whole idea of being from, Alice from the Brady Bunch, the whole thing. So I was like, great, we even had really cute uniforms. I'm just going to tell you this, we don't wear them anymore, but they were like the double-breasted looking like the old, from Alice.
Nice.
And I loved it. So we had a whole look, and like I said, we started from nothing. So I wanted to be able to go from nothing to building the entire thing to where I get to sell it. I just want to go through all of the motions. I want to have that experience.
Isn't it wild? Like, you took the $1,200 that most people went out and blew, including, I think, maybe us. No, we probably put it on like a credit card or something.
She's looking at you.
No, she's thinking
like,
too
what?
hard. That means no, we didn't. We blew it on something. Yeah. But what's crazy to me is you did that, one. Two, you went like the whole, like you said, like 6 months of just trying to figure this thing out. But what really I want people to take away from this is, like, I feel like what I heard from you, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, your creativity didn't happen until you were like, bump this, like 9 to 5, I'm trapped here making this. I really want to do this. And then once you kind of cut ties with that and that wasn't in your life anymore and taking that energy, it was like, oh, I got this. I can do this. I can do this. And money wasn't coming in. You were still struggling. Like, things were still happening. Your health was still what it is. But things started to happen. Creativity started to flow and things. You started to see things different. And, like, once you do this, like I told him, he's already starting to edit videos and stuff now, which is like – and not just on his phone. Like, he's actually, like, putting them on the computer and syncing stuff up. So, like, I was like, you're done, dude. Like, you honestly, you will not see the world the same. Everything is like a shot, a B-roll shot, or – oh, we could shoot this here or do that there. And he's already like, I never realized Andrew was so photogenic. I said, I knew as soon as I got here because I already had a camera in my hand. But, like, I came into town, I'm like, oh, clock tower. If you shot from this side, that angle. Like, all the time I'm looking at stuff. So I think that's pretty cool. To like, do you feel like maybe when you kind of, like, cut that out, the Walmart thing, and, like, made this jump, is that kind of when, like, your creative thing started? Or were you already kind of like –
I've always been a creative human being. One of my biggest things is that I love art, and whether I'm not really good making it, I'm going to be honest, but film I've been doing so great on. Mm-hmm. I can't paint. I can't do things like that. I used to craft a lot, just very artistic my entire life. When I was a kid, I wanted to be an artist, and my dad kind of told me that I needed to go to college to get a real job and to, what was his words? He said to conform to society. He was in the military, Navy. Yep. So he said,
I was in the Army. I get it.
Yeah. So you understand. And
I
he's
totally
like,
get it.
You have to do that in order to be successful. And I was like, well, can I prove you wrong? And he was like, absolutely not. So he told me to just go to college for 2 years, and it would change the way I look at the world. And he's not wrong. I graduated. He was at my graduation. It was up here. I went to Wake Tech.
Nice.
So I graduated with a degree in medical office administration, and I was like, oh, cool, I'm going to do that. And then I'm going to go be a medical coder. And I took the test, and it cost a lot of money, and I got certified. I had a job for 2 weeks, and I was like, no, I'm not interested. I don't want to sit here. So I realized kind of pretty young that I obviously couldn't really sit at a desk and hold a job and all that fun stuff. And I was like, what could I do? So I used to do a lot of different businesses. I had a cleaning company down where I'm from in Sarasota. And again, this is a place you have to drive north to get to the south. But I called it Southern Belle Cleaning Company. Right?
Got it.
Did not go over well where I'm from because it's a lot of money down there and they don't want to hear that stuff.
You're good. You're good.
I don't swear in mine because I want people to be able to listen to it. And I was like, oh, I do
He'll let
swear.
them fly every once in a while, but you're good. Don't worry about it. You're fine.
And so I realized that I was very creative at that point. I just didn't have what I want to call the right building blocks to be an entrepreneur. So my business did not flourish. It was not a good thing. I'm cleaning houses, cool, but I'm doing it for like $100.
Because you don't know what you're doing.
No.
You're working. Like
yeah. I just knew that I wanted to own a business. And so I, took some time out, had some children, did, the family thing. And then I really was like, you know what? My kids are old enough now that if I'm not showing them the true person that I am, I don't think that that's a good thing because, later in life I found out my parents weren't who they said they were. And I was like, wow, okay, you guys are interesting human beings. Not at all what I thought. So I wanted to show them that. And I felt like I was giving them kind of a gift of seeing me grow from everything I went through, starting a business in a small town. By the way, I have no family here, no support, nothing. I just moved here. We're here.
That's awesome.
What's next?
That's awesome.
And I feel like that's not healthy now that I've gotten older. I'm like, maybe I shouldn't have done that, but I wouldn't be where I'm at if I didn't. So I've always been a risk taker. I've always been an entrepreneur. I've always wanted to, do my own thing and be very creative. And so once I, had to get that job, I felt that I had to get a job during the pandemic because I didn't feel like I could really do it. And then once I was in there and I'm working and I'm the only one doing it and everyone's calling out and they're freaking out and I'm like, this is maybe not for me. I need a place that I can control the atmosphere a little bit more, control how business is done, and put my own spin on it.
Yep.
So once I got rid of that, my brain just went off in all different directions. I was like, all right, how are we going to market? How are we going to get out there? So I joined networking groups, which is where I have met a lot of really nice people, really interesting folks, and people who have given me advice and guided me to the next level, essentially. So when I started out, I just was, hey, it's me. I'm going to clean. And then I started looking around. I'm like, well, what am I cleaning? Because I started looking into, I'm a big fan of Simon Sinek, and he is a motivational speaker. He, for entrepreneurs, and he's basically always teaching you how to be a leader. And so that was my whole thing was, okay, what can I take from him, put it into my business and be successful? And he has this whole thing, and it's on a TED Talk that I learned when I was in college. And I love this because I would have never known about TED Talks if I hadn't gone to college. And he was talking about people buy why you do things, not what you do. And he was talking about how Apple, for example, like they do all this innovative stuff. They do this, but they also sell computers and phones. Do you want to buy one? And I was like, how can I take that, put it to my business, and show people why I do things and what I'm doing? So I gave a lot of accountability because that is just something that my neurotypical brain wants in life. I love accountability. I don't know what it is. When I deal with a business, I want to know exactly what you're doing. What am I paying for? And how do you relate to the community? Because that's also really big.
Right.
Like,
right.
Like, do they give
I got
back?
your business, but what are you also doing? You know,
Yeah.
like what are you doing with your business? You know, are you just making money? And that's fine. I mean, there's nothing against that.
No.
But the cool thing about entrepreneurs, you get to kind of pick and choose who you work with. Unless you just need somebody. Then I guess you can't pick and choose. But
No, sometimes that is the biggest thing. When we tried to hire in 2021, that was absolutely the worst adventure in entrepreneurship that I've had.
Imagine.
I was doing working interviews so that they weren't wasting my time or theirs. I'd pay them to come clean.
Yeah.
And so you came for the day. We'll see. And I don't train them by telling them what to do. My whole thing was show me what you have, and I can critique and
Show you how we do it a little bit faster, a little bit, yeah.
right. And then so we have met some very interesting folks that
Can you give us a fun story from your cleaning experience? Without naming places or names, can you just give us like something maybe you walked in on, or like, because my mind races with ideas of things that you have seen in hotel rooms, or not hotel rooms, but just different things throughout your cleaning. Like I can't imagine different things you've seen.
Yes.
But be careful because you also have like NDAs and stuff too, so I don't want you to say nothing.
I do. So I can just tell you without naming names, we had a client who had a child that had autism, and my son has autism, so obviously clearly I'm comfortable with this, but she would allow the child to run around the house and take our cleaning supplies and poop in the tub and things that just weren't. This is where my checklist comes in, and at the bottom it says that we do not clean up human waste,
right.
pet waste, things like that. And so
that's where we draw the line.
Yes, we've had a lot of interesting things happen to us cleaning. I try to keep it under wraps because the NDA, but that was one that really just kind of stuck out. And as far as employees go, we had someone show up for a working interview, and I don't mind what you do when you're not with me, but when you come to work, please wear a bra.
Yeah. Got
and it was just...
I hate that rule.
Right. What kind of place is that?
It was just so obvious, and I was like, you can't wear the uniform. Like, it was
It's
just
a professional thing.
Yes.
It's not like I'm against you not having a bra on. It's just we couldn't do it here.
Right. Again, don't care what you do in your personal life, but can you come to work and be professional? And she ended up taking a soda out of one of my clients' houses and drinking it right in front of me. And then they were in the car leaving the
Like
second.
it was normal?
Yeah,
Like
like
it was
this was a completely fine thing. And I was like, no, we don't do that.
Good job. Hard day.
Yeah. Like cracking a beer. And I was like, well. And I remember she was saying, she had said something really inappropriate to another person that worked with me, a very racial slur, as they're like backing out of the driveway. And I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. I'm done. So it's just too much. So I'm going to be honest. We were after that. We were like, no more people working for us. So we do all of the work 100%. It also is a way of, because I have OCD and control issues. With my cleaning specifically, it has to be done a certain way. And one of the things that really drives me up the wall is when people clean around things instead of moving them, cleaning it, and putting it back.
Well, Ashley's like, preach, girl. Preach. Yes.
Yeah, it has to be done this way. And I am a person where I clean top to bottom, and we do it in a way that is a deep clean level every single time, because I'm not going to waste your time or mine doing it twice a year. I'm going to clean it once deep clean, and we're going to maintain that.
Yeah.
So I realize that I have control issues, and I'm okay with that because I have a really great reputation because of it.
We don't deep anything. We get the surface, and it looks good from standing up. Don't lay down on the floor and look anywhere, but looks good when you walk in. That's about where we keep it.
Well, I mean, you got
disagreeing over here. No, we don't.
Well, they also.
No,
have,
I'm saying like
they also have two boys too, so they're kind of at the point where
it's as good as it's going to get for now, because it's going to be messed up in 5 minutes. Exactly. Ashley said maybe we should hire her.
Yeah, heck
you
yeah.
know, listen, I'll send you my checklist and we can come over. This is what we do. So I do free in-home care assessments because I feel that everyone is different. Every home is different. Everyone's needs are different. I cannot just give you a quote over the phone. I'm just not going to do that. First of all, I don't know what I'm getting into. And second, I need to make sure after the poop in the tub thing, I'm like, never again. But we, decided that we were going to take the route of making sure that we looked at the job, priced it appropriately, and gave them expectations because that also kind of negates anybody giving me a bad review. Yep. I've already went over it with you, what to expect.
You can't say you didn't know. Yep, expectations up front.
Yeah, and so we have a checklist. We go in, we go room by room. This is where the OCD comes in, and I'm like, all right, here, we're going to clean this top to bottom, and I do it in grid form as I'm showing you. That's how I do things. So we go in, we clean it all top to bottom, and I've also devised a way to clean to where if they called and complained about anything, I'll know exactly who it was because we have somebody who's in charge of certain jobs, dusting, vacuuming,
like chores
mopping.
around the house with the kids.
Yes.
You had bathrooms, so that wasn't me. Well, buddy, you had bathroom.
Yeah.
You can't say you didn't leave that. I like that's smart, man.
And I can totally relate with the tryout interviews. I mean, Lily out there, she came in looking for work. I said, come in for a tryout. We'll see how it goes. So, no, I mean, if you're going to come in and stand behind the bar and be on your phone the entire time, I don't have time for you. You gotta
because there's always something you can do, right? If
Yeah.
there's not a customer, there's something you can be doing. And who's taking that initiative? Because that's really who you want.
Oh, I'm actually excited about Lily. You might want to talk to her, but she was just like, if you show me where the broom is, I'll sweep. And she got excited when she saw that there was a steam mop there. And then I was like, hey, you want to see something really cool? Grab that, click, steam the windows.
Oh wow! I didn't think about that. Thank you.
Oh, it works magic. It's
great idea.
magical.
I've never thought about that either.
It's got a little thing. You steam it. You just steam the window, hit it like a squeegee.
What does that sound like?
Hershey. I don't know.
I'm just going to keep this thing going. I did it in one episode where we were talking about a wreck outside that happened. I always say, well, bam, balam when stuff hit. I'm like, yeah, and then he was like, well, bam, balam. I don't know why I say that, but I did. My dad said it, I guess. But he's like, yeah, and then the tires were barking down the street, and I was like, what'd that sound like? And he was like, oh, oh, oh. And so from now on, I'm just always going to be like, so what'd that sound like?
What'd that sound like?
No, this has been fun, man. I think we've covered a lot. I think we've hit on a lot.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
And it's been a pleasure having you come out, and we can't wait to be on the
Down home dirt.
Down home dirt. I had it, and
he wants to say downtown.
Downtown dirt.
I did too, but it's home.
Down home dirt with Dusta. And we can't wait to be on with you, and appreciate you coming out to the shop.
Yeah.
And
you can even look right there, and if you want to tell the audience where to find your podcast, social media, website, hit all that stuff. Favorite color, I don't care.
My favorite color is red. I don't know if you could tell. But you can find Down Home Dirt on Apple and Spotify podcasting. We are just Down Home Dirt. And you can find us on Facebook. We have an Instagram and we have a TikTok, so you can find out all the exclusive new episodes. You can email us if you want to be on the show at downhomedirtpodcast@gmail.com.
Sweet. Well, it's been fun.
Yeah, thank you for having me. It's so exciting.
Yep.
we'll catch y'all next time.
Oh, I didn't hit record. No, I'm kidding.
No, this thing is not on.